In just 4 years, a silent killer swept across continents, bringing empires to their knees and changing history forever. This is the story of the Black Death. In the mid-14th century, Europe was prospering. Trade was booming, towns were turning into cities, and humanity seemed to be on an upward path. But along those same bustling trade routes, something dark and sinister was moving west. A killer that would wipe out nearly half of Europe's population. The horror began in Central Asia. The bacterium Yersinia pestis found a perfect host in fleas, which hitched a ride on rats. These rats, in turn, stowed away on merchant caravans and ships traveling the Silk Road. Inching closer and closer to an unsuspecting Europe, in October 1347, 12 Genoese trading ships docked at the Sicilian port of Messina. The townspeople who gathered to greet them were met with a scene from a nightmare. Most of the sailors were already dead, their bodies strewn across the decks. The few who were still alive were delirious, covered in black boils, oozing blood and pus, and barely clinging to life. The authorities hastily ordered the death ships out of the harbor, but it was too late. The plague had arrived. From Sicily, the disease exploded across the continent like wildfire. It raced through Italy, then to France, Spain, England, and Germany, reaching as far as Scandinavia and Russia. No corner of Europe was safe. The plague manifested in 3 terrifying forms. The most common was the bubonic plague, which caused agonizingly painful swellings, or buboes, in the armpits, neck, and groin. Then there was the pneumonic plague, an airborne version that attacked the lungs. Victims coughed up blood, and death was swift, often within 2 days. Finally, the septicemic plague infected the bloodstream directly, turning the skin dark and causing death in mere hours. Medieval society had no defense. The concept of germ theory was centuries away. Doctors, with their strange, bird-like masks filled with herbs, believed they were filtering out miasma or bad air, but they were powerless. People desperately looked for answers. Was it a punishment from God? Cosmic alignment of the planets? Is it witchcraft? Or a conspiracy by enemies poisoning the wells? Panic and fear were as contagious as the disease itself. The Black Death didn't just kill people, it ripped apart the very fabric of society. Cities became ghost towns as people fled in terror. Families abandoned their sick loved ones. Bodies piled up in the streets faster than they could be buried, leading to mass graves where the dead were stacked like layers in a lasagna. Priests, who bravely administered last rites, died in droves. Doctors and officials fled their posts. In their desperation, some turned to extreme acts of faith. Groups of flagellants marched from town to town, whipping themselves in public displays of penance, hoping to appease an angry God. Others, believing the end of the world was nigh, gave in to wild hedonistic parties. And tragically, this climate of fear led to horrific violence. Blame was often cast on minority groups, particularly Jewish communities, who were falsely accused of causing the plague. This resulted in brutal massacres across Europe, a dark stain on an already dark time. The sheer scale of death was unprecedented. Between 1347 and 1351, it's estimated that the Black Death claimed between 75 and 200 million lives worldwide. In Europe alone, somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of the entire population perished, up to 50 million people. Entire villages vanished from the map. Fields were left unplowed, and the global economy ground to a halt. In vibrant cities like Florence and Paris, half the population was gone in a matter of months. A contemporary chronicler wrote that so many died that all believed it was the end of the world, but humanity survived. And the world that emerged from the ashes of the plague was profoundly different. The immense loss of life created a severe labor shortage. For the first time, surviving peasants and workers could demand higher wages and better conditions, striking a critical blow to the rigid feudal system that had dominated Europe for centuries. The Church's inability to stop the plague, or even explain it, shook people's faith to the core. This spiritual crisis led many to question old dogmas and turn towards reason, science, and humanism, planting the seeds for the Renaissance. Europe's population wouldn't recover for nearly 200 years, but the world was being reshaped. The Black Death remains one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. It was a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions, but it was also a catalyst for immense change. It shattered the medieval world and paved the way for the modern one, leaving a legacy of fear, resilience, and ultimately, rebirth. It stands as a chilling reminder of how a microscopic organism can bring civilizations to their knees and alter the course of history. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that shaped our world. See you next time.